Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is me, your gay best friend, Shaman Patrick. If you don't have a gay friend, I'll help you. I'll help you out here. In today's world, a woman would want to have a gay friend to hear a masculine perspective with a feminine edge. Just hear a perspective. A straight man would want a gay friend to talk about emotional guy stuff with that he may not feel comfortable talking with his straight bros about. I've been talking to a lot of women lately, and I've also been talking to a lot of straight guys. And I love women and I love men. I mean, I'm romantically and sexually attracted to men in general. I'm gay. And I love men. I can love a man without wanting to sleep with him. I can help a man without wanting to sleep with him. And I can help a woman because I'm not after her husband either. Gay people used to fulfill really powerful roles in tribes and societies. Gay men are powerful. Gay women are powerful because we exist outside of society. We have no skin in the game, really. So we can take an objective look at all of this and say, what can I help you with? What can I help you with? One of those things that women keep asking me are, where are all the good men? Where are all the good men? And I'm like, well, you just got to know what to look for. And you might want to work on yourself too, honey. You might want to work on yourself too. Because if you want a masculine man, and a masculine man wants a feminine woman, and so we're all going to have to work on ourselves to get what we truly want out of life. So today we're going to talk about what a good man is, what a good man looks like, and how if we want a good man, we need to change. Because a good man may not want a bad woman. Are you ready for this episode? Let's go.
He was once a storm in human form, sharp tongue, cold soul, heart worn and torn, living like a ghost who missed his grave till the spirit sang out and called him brave. He got rewired by the great unknown, heard the call like a dial tone to the bone. So pull up a chair, enjoy the glow. This is the Shaman Patrick Show.
I'm going to be really delicate with this episode because it takes a delicate hand. Feminism sold women a lie. It did. Men were sold a lie as well. I mean, the intentions were pure, but something got messed up along the way. Some sick people got involved. And that's it. Your mother should have taught you how to be a woman. And if you're a man, your father should have taught you. In our men's group, we're having discussions like this. What went wrong? You used to have to be strong to provide for your family. Then around the, 50s, 60s, 70s, you just show up somewhere and make a living. You didn't really have to work that hard. You could be a janitor and buy a house. And so this kind of softened men. And then women entering the workforce. Women had to man up. See how screwy everything got? It's nobody's fault. And we're not trying to tell people how to be or live. And we're all the same underneath the hood. We all have the same wiring. I have worked with a lot of men in my life. And they have the desire to marry, to settle down, have kids, but it's a shit show. Often it's a shit show. Often. So today we're going to focus on getting clear about it. And as your gay shaman best friend, if you want a good man, we need to hear from a man. Not just a gay man, but maybe a straight man. Imagine that, listening to a man. Have you ever listened to a man? Do you manipulate the men in your life rather than communicate with them? Ooh, ooh, oh, oh, I want all the women out there to have good men. And I want all the good men out there to have good women. You deserve a peaceful, loving, supportive relationship. It's kind of your birthright. Somebody stole that shit from you. Don't get mad at me. Don't get mad at me. Somebody stole that shit for you. For what? Political points? To get a bill passed? Don't get mad at me. Although many people have and will. So let's listen to this guy. This guy over here. Let me talk about this guy. This guy is dad mode. Here, I got no camera. Dad mode in dark mode. Your peace is worth more than her feelings. Now that might make some of y'all feel some type of way, because I know it can make us feel some type of way. But see, as a gay shaman, I don't have any skin in the game, so I'll be able to look at this and I won't feel like my masculinity is threatened. I won't feel like my femininity is threatened. I can listen to this guy. We may not agree on everything, but when was the last time you really listened to a man? Did y'all fall for the mansplaining shit when a man is just trying to tell you something? Did somebody convince you don't need no man? I kind of fell for that too. But I love very much having a husband. I love it. I would love it if every lady out there found a good man and had a husband. But sometimes we have to change ourselves and encourage the men in our lives to change. Straight men, I don't know if you're going to be able to do this in this world. There's too much programming and too much brainwashing. I see it changing. I see it changing because it's unfucking workable. It's unfucking workable. But it might be slow. It might be a slow rollout where good men start to speak up and explain to other men what being a good man is. Some people, like myself, just wake up due to life circumstances, painful life circumstances. But let's listen to this guy.
There comes a point in a man's life when he stops negotiating with emotional pressure. In that moment, it's not loud, it's not dramatic. It happens the day he realizes that constantly managing someone else's reactions is not love. It is not love. It's a slow erosion of self. It doesn't begin in anger. It begins in recognition.
I want to comment on that right away. Many of you know my story of how I was called to restore my masculinity is because I was surrounded by weak men, bad men, men who lied, men who gaslit, men who manipulated. And they felt justified in that behavior. They felt justified in lying and manipulating and gaslighting. And if I spoke the truth to these men, they would have a complete come apart. Simple things like, hey, I see you're going through this. Why don't you give the 12 steps a try? Fuck you. I'm not a fucking alcoholic, you faggot asshole. Okay.
He looks back at years of being pulled into conversations that went absolutely nowhere and arguments that they resetted rather than resolved.
I've had this experience with women and men. And some people might want to say feminized men. I just say weak men, a weak man, guilt, shame, the silent treatment. I'm like, this is not what men do. Like, it's crazy to me. Like, you can pretend to be a man. You can pretend to be a good man. But when the rubber meets the road and you're acting like a little bitch, you're throwing people under the bus instead of standing on your own. And in dealing with the women in my life, I'll call a family member and then she'll start crying because I haven't called her, and I'll just wait for her to quit crying because she'll eventually realize that the tears aren't working. So she needs to try another tactic to control me. Do you see how crazy this shit is when you see it? When you see it?
Feelings that were treated as facts, right? And he finally sees the pattern. He finally sees that he was never heard the entire time.
Yeah.
He was being handled.
What a wake up.
Men spent most of their lives being taught that being a good man meant absorbing everything.
Ugh.
Listen more. Apologize faster. Don't raise your voice. Don't withdraw. Don't you upset her. Don't make her insecure, right?
Yeah.
Keep her comfortable, even if it means staying uncomfortable yourself.
Happy wife, happy life. I hear it from older men a lot. You know, I hear men talking about all the nasty ways their wives talk to them, all the shit they pull, and they just think that's normal. They think it's normal for a woman to harangue and harass them, their wife. They think that shit's normal. That's dysfunctional. That's not normal. That's dysfunctional. But who's going to tell them? Who's going to tell them this? Because if somebody tries to tell them, they have a complete come apart. This is just the way it is. This is the way it is. I mean, women can get away with emotional and physical abuse. They do it all the time. And men are just supposed to suck it up and take it. That's what we're taught. That's what I was taught. That's what my mother taught me. My mother could do all sorts of fucked up shit to me, but I had to take it because if I got upset, I was handled. I didn't have parents. I had handlers.
So men carried the weight of every emotional shift in the room. They stabilized tension. They softened truth. They accepted blame. They accepted blame because resistance was labeled cruelty. They believed emotional invincibility was strength.
I have heard from people who had to set boundaries with their mothers, and their mothers cried and screamed and said, "You're being cruel. You're being cruel to me. I'm your mother." This is common in recovery. When you get sober, you're probably going to have to set some boundaries with your parents, with your family. You're going to have to, because you sobered up. You entered sanity, and you'll discover that everybody you were drinking with is insane, and you have to set boundaries. And when you set those boundaries, people will think you're being cruel. Why would somebody think that that's cruelty? Well, because they're getting something from you that you don't know about. You don't know what you're giving up and giving to them until you threaten to take that away. That's a childish way of looking at things.
All it did was teach other people that his emotional capacity was theirs to use and manipulate. Over time, men started to notice that peace wasn't something they felt. It was something constantly being taken from them. Every conversation felt like walking through a minefield. Every honest thought had to be translated into something palatable.
Yeah.
Any attempt to...
I was told, watch your tone. Watch your tone. Man, I was manipulated and used by many women in my life. And I had to get over that and forgive them, Lord, for they know not what they do. Forgive them, Lord. Now my approach is I'm just masculine around women. I don't get emotional with them. I don't feed into stuff. I even tell them, like, look, I'm a guy. I don't know what you're talking about. Well, why don't you talk to a woman about that stuff? Why don't you talk to a sober woman about that? But you have to learn how to be a good man around bad women. You have to. And I'm not saying that the women I talk to are bad. No. Nobody taught them. Who's going to teach them to not manipulate? or harangue or harass their husband to get what they want. A good man will give a good woman what she wants and needs. Doesn't even have to be a come apart about it. Doesn't even have to. A lot of women feel like they need to wear the pants in the family because their man is a little bitch. Well, that might be true. But man, if, my husband and I decided to work on it, whatever we didn't know, whatever our parents didn't teach us, we decided to work on it together, and it brought our relationship closer. It surely did. It continues to do that, because you have to realize that you're recreating the childhood that you were raised in automatically. Straight men marry their mothers. Gay men marry an amalgamation of their fathers and their mothers. Whatever you're sexually attracted to, you try to create that mother or father as your partner. And if you came from a dysfunctional home, well, guess what? Your marriage is also going to be dysfunctional. Every relationship in your life is going to be dysfunctional because nobody fucking taught you. Nobody taught you what a good relationship looked like. And people will pretend that they're functional people because it's easy to pretend. But if you spend any significant time with people, you see that they argue, that they bicker, that they put each other down, or they talk shit about their husband or wife when she's not around. That's dysfunctional. That's not cool. People think it's weird that I've never really said anything bad about my husband. Somebody told me that the other day, Patrick, I've never heard you say a bad word about your husband. You've never complained about him. You've never done it. I'm like, because I love him. Because I love him. And he loves me. And we work on things. Plus, he's sober. And I can direct him to the program. He can direct me. He's like, you need to call somebody and sort that out. But I have nothing bad to say about my husband at all. He truly does the best that he can. And my husband is a good man.
Who set a boundary turned into accusations of coldness or control. And slowly men realized something crucial here. The very people who demanded the most emotional support were often the least interested in emotional accountability.
Ooh.
That's when the internal break happened. Men didn't shut down, they woke up to that fact. They recognized that not every conflict was about understanding. Some were about domination. They saw how talk to me really meant agree with me, and how be honest really meant tell me what I want to hear, right? How you're not communicating really meant you're not surrendering. Men realized the goal was never resolution. The goal was reset.
Well, and like how many men have not grown up, many women have also not grown up. They're still girls. Boys and girls marrying each other, never growing up. I mean, my parents died children. They never grew up. They were throwing tantrums until the day they died. Tantrums because they weren't getting their way. An immature man, an immature father, is going to be threatened by his own son's maturity, and he's going to try to shut that shit down. Do you realize how fucked up this is? An immature woman would be jealous of her daughter's beauty. And an immature would feel in competition with their own fucking children. Sabotaging their own children because of their own jealousy and envy that they don't recognize as jealousy or envy. They think that's parenting. Now you might say, well, Patrick, how do you know all this? Well, I had a DUI. I had to take sober living classes, which I paid attention in. I know some people don't pay attention in class, but I love going to school. I love learning stuff. And then I also qualified for a special program to learn life skills. It was for Catholic charities, and I got a scholarship to go, and they would pay my DUI fees some of them, not all of them, if I went through this class and learned something. And when I heard certain things, I only had to hear them once, primarily because I might have been ready for it. I might have gone through enough hell that I was ready for it. You know, one of the things I learned in that life skills course was that you create your own childhood, that you marry your mom. Men marry their mom and women marry their dad. And if they are not their mom or dad at the moment that they marry, they will, by their own behavior, turn them into them. And I realized that the last boyfriend I was with for 8 years, I was like, oh shit, I got with my dad. My dad was like this guy. I fucking married my dad? Ew. But it was there. They were the exact same. Abusive, cheating, emotionally stunted, silent, complainy, irritable, grumbly. I had recreated my childhood home, and I was a lot like my mother. And when I first got married to my husband, things would come out of my mouth, and I'm like, oh God, that sounds like my mother. But also keep in mind that we're sober. You can't be drinking and doing drugs and work on yourself. You just can't. You can't. I'm sorry. If you're drinking with your partner, if y'all are drunk or high all the time, y'all ain't even together. Y'all are just enduring each other. Like when I was hanging out with my drinking buddies, we hated each other. We were all such horrible fucking people that we had to be drunk just to stand each other's company. But you do not have to take my word for any of this. Go take a life skills course. Go take a sober living class. You can take these classes. You can read books. You do not have to take my word for it. But something did get screwed up along the way. And if you have stumbled into this knowledge and awareness, happy birthday. I feel like it's your birthright. I feel like you should know what it's like to be a man. And I think a woman should know what it's like to be a woman. But when a woman tries to pretend to be a man, or when a man tries to incorporate feminine quality, it's a big fucking mess. It's so much easier just to be who you are. It really is. It's just easier for a man to be a man. And it's easier for a woman to be a woman. Now, if you want to complicate things and make things harder for everybody involved, please do. That's what universities are for. That's what academia is for. They have complicated something so simple and so basic, male-female relationships, and turned it into a fucking shit show, a meat grinder, where nobody is happy and nobody wins. Not the men, not the women, not the children, not the culture, not the society. What a fucking mess.
Make her feel better so the cycle can continue. Once that truth landed, everything changed. Men stopped trying to win unwinnable arguments. They stopped chasing closure from people who used confusion as a tactic. They stopped defending themselves in conversations where the verdict was already decided. They stopped explaining their intentions to people committed to misinterpreting them. This wasn't detachment. It was precision. It wasn't coldness. It was self-preservation. The old power dynamic depended on emotional reaction. If she could get a reaction out of you, she could gain control over you.
Men are controlled through their reactions. Did y'all know that? That if somebody can get you to react, they can control you because they control you through your reactions. And I remember when I controlled a reaction with a female family member. It felt like a fire going through me. It felt like it was amazing. It's like a phoenix. I see. I didn't realize I was being controlled in this way. I woke up to it. I stumbled into it, much like most men who stumble into it. We're just like, oh God. It's heartbreaking. It's horrifying. But to my female family members, when they figured out I couldn't be manipulated and controlled anymore, they lost interest. They said I was a terrible person, that I was mean, cruel. They told other people how mean and cruel I was. All because I chose to not be manipulated or controlled anymore. They have no interest in talking to me. I didn't really have to go no contact with them. They just were like, oh, I'm not going to get what I want from this guy. My nephew, my cousin, my brother. I'm not going to get what I want from this guy, so I may as well not even put forth the effort. You're going to discover that people who say they love you don't really love you.
Raise her voice, he calms down. Cry, he backs off. Withdraw, he chases. Disapprove, he scrambles to fix it. Right? Guilt, he over-explains. This isn't love, it's manipulation. Anything that somebody calls love that relies on controlling the other person's emotional state isn't love. It is manipulation, and it's dependency disguised as connection. See it for what it is. Call it by name. Men finally saw it. They saw how often I feel was used as a shield against responsibility. How often we need to talk really meant prepare to be blamed.
Oh yeah. Like I have been blamed for so much. I have been blamed. I was a scapegoated child. Like I got blamed so much that I'm like, I'm not this powerful. How could I do this? I'm not that powerful. You know, when you wake up, you start reflecting things back to people. You become a mirror. You start with you essentially just show people who they are, and they will get very upset with you. They will get mad. And I will share, you know, when I started catching people in lies, and I said that's a lie. In particular, this was my big awakening with this, in a situation with my aunt. She lied to me. My husband was with me. She bold-faced lied to me, and I said, that's not true. You told me something completely different last week. First thing out of her mouth was, well, I'm senile. I'm senile now. I'm senile. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm like, oh God. This woman is 70-something years old. She's acting like a little girl. And I calmly said, I'm done here. I'm done. There's nothing, like, I caught you in a lie. It was a pretty big lie too. It was a bad one. And I just calmly walked out of the house, and I got into the passenger seat of the car, very calm. Because when you realize shit like this, there's no need to defend or argue or explain. It's just, oh, this is a lost cause. I'm just going to leave. I'm going to leave. And when I got into the car, she sent me a text message. She said, you didn't let me explain before you stormed out. And I just texted back, I didn't storm out. I walked out calmly. Have a good day. And I'm sure she told other people what a horrible person I was. But see, my husband was there. And when she starts this shit up again in my life today, I'm like, look, there's two of us now. You might have been able to do this when it was just me. But I have a witness now. I have a witness. We both see. That doesn't even, like, it doesn't even matter. She still does it. She still tries. She still tries. And I'm like, this is crazy. There's two of us witnessing. But she probably got away with this her whole life. And it might have worked for her. But as she's elderly now and she doesn't have her power anymore, it's not serving her. It's repelling people away from her. I don't want to be around somebody who lies to me and gaslights me and manipulates me anymore. Call me crazy. I don't care. That makes life difficult. All that stuff makes life difficult. And if a man wakes up to manipulations, gaslight, he'll just walk away calmly. He'll walk away calmly. He won't fight anymore. He'll just say, oh, I can't win here. There's really nothing you can do. And that's precisely why men walk away from stuff. They just realize it's a lost cause. They're not being cruel. They're not being mean. They're just like, oh, I can't put forth any effort into this because it's fruitless. Something that will help all work is a good understanding of the ego. And once you have a good understanding of the machinations of ego, you can start to look at things like lying and gaslighting and manipulations as just ego stuff. A book that can help you out with this is our book, The Machinations of Ego. It is now available on Amazon and on our website at concreteshamans.com. Get it, read it, wake the fuck up. And also for you musical types out there, we have our new album. You want to be enlightened? 17 tracks, 2 shamans, 1 mission to wake the dead and heal the living. It's raw, it's real, it's enlightenment with a backbeat. Available now for digital download on our website right now. So we're talking about this kind of stuff and it can make people feel some type of way. So if it pisses you off, that's the ego, because the ego has all men by the balls until it doesn't. And I guess it might have all women by the titties. I don't know much about women's anatomy. I know a lot about a male anatomy. That's for damn sure. Let's go back to this video.
Easily their silence was just painted as indifference, while her silence was treated as suffering. They noticed that the ones who speak the loudest about emotional intelligence, EQ, they rarely applied it to themselves.
Yeah.
Men began to understand that peace doesn't disappear, it gets traded away. So men made a different decision. They stopped performing calmness and actually became calm. They stopped trying to prove they were good men and focused on being stable men. Stability doesn't chase approval. It doesn't react to the bait. It doesn't get dragged into circular conversations that exist only to drain your energy. Stability, it sees the game and refuses to play it. That refusal is what flipped the power dynamic. It's not a revenge tactic, and it's not out of anger. It's out of discipline and stillness. A man who no longer reacts is a man who cannot be controlled.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for saying that. Again, a man who doesn't react is a man who cannot be controlled. There's so many manipulation tactics. There's the badger and blame. Y'all know about the badger and blame? It is when people badger you. They just keep poking at you. And then when you get angry or upset, then, oh, you've got anger issues. You need to work on your anger. There's also grievous error. Do you know about grievous error? Well, somebody has decided that you're going to fuck up and you're going to do something wrong. And you're doing everything you can. You're showing up on time. You're doing all this good stuff. But if they want to knock you down, they're going to decide that something that you did was wrong. They may even goad you into it. They may even encourage you to do something that they'll later come back and say, this is the grievous error. It's a grievous error. They've already decided you're going to fuck up. So when you see the games and you see it all, you're like, well, you know, I can tell when I'm getting into a grievous error situation, and I just let it happen. You know you're going to fuck up when you hang out with manipulative, lying, gaslighting, weak men or bad women. You know you're going to fuck up. It's why I tend to not want to hang out with those types of people, because they got your number. They're like, they need to be eliminated. I'm going to wait. when they're at a low moment, and then I'm going to kick them when they're down. I've had people do that to me so many times. But it just, every time it happens, I'm like, well, thank you for the lesson, God. Thank you for the lesson. Thank you. I appreciate it. You get stronger that way, especially badgers and blames and grievous error. And, I just don't react anymore. But I don't put myself in situations that are crazy all that much anymore. I find myself in crazy situations and I'm like, how did I get here? So if I'm aware of it, can you imagine what's going on with both men and women who are not aware of it?
He no longer fears being misunderstood because he knows who he is. He no longer fears being alone because solitude with peace is better than connection with instability. He no longer engages in emotional tug of war because he understands the only winning move is to drop the rope.
Walk away. Yeah.
I wrote about all of this in my book, Dark Mode Protocol. The link, I'll leave that in the video description. You can pick it up. It's like,
go look at this guy's channel. It's dark. I mean, it is dark stuff. But for stuff like this, you kind of have to go dark, go through a dark night of the soul, and then come out on the other side. And like he said, it's not revenge. It's just a recognition. Like you can have the life that you want to live, both ladies and men. If you don't want to be with a weak man, don't. If you married a weak man, support his growth. Here's something that I see happen. A woman will marry an alcoholic. Well, guess what? You're crazy if you marry an alcoholic. That's why there's special support groups. If you married an alcoholic, you are crazy. You're crazier than the alcoholic. All right? And you need help. And so if you're a woman or a man who married an alcoholic, what the fuck is wrong with you? These people are sick. Now, this is not about busting up families. That was the thing I thought. Like, I thought that if I went to Al-Anon, that they would tell me that I had to divorce my husband. Quite the opposite. I mean, I wouldn't say that our marriage was in trouble, but we were having some issues because nobody taught us. I mean, my parents were addicts and alcoholics. Merrick's parents were addicts and alcoholics. So who was going to teach us? That's why these 12-step groups exist. They grow you up. They're full of ritual elders, just chock full of ritual elders. And in fact, that might be one of the places where there are ritual elders to help you through it. I mean, it takes work. I didn't know how to set a boundary. I was sick to my stomach setting a boundary. Now I'll set a boundary because my peace of mind is more important. Yeah, I have fewer friends. I have fewer family connections, but I can sleep at night. And who wants to be connected to somebody who's going to blame you for shit you're not doing, or want you to apologize for things that you're not doing, or wants to guilt you into doing stuff? Like, I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want to be in a marriage like that. I don't want to be in a family like that. And you just choose peace, sobriety first. If things are going to threaten my sobriety or peace, I tend to not want to do them. Although sometimes I find myself in situations.
$6. A man like this is not heartless. He is measured. He isn't detached from emotion. He's detached from emotional manipulation. He has learned the difference between expressing feelings and weaponizing them. He knows that healthy connection doesn't require constant explanation.
I want to say this, like, I went through a very challenging couple of years due to my illness, IBS, very challenging. I didn't talk about it all that much. I talked about it on YouTube, but I tried to tell people in my life, like, hey, I'm in a lot of pain. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how I'm going to make a living. This is going to be so difficult. And I watched those people just not care. They didn't fucking care. They didn't fucking care I was going through the worst time in my life. I didn't hear from very many family members during that time, unless they wanted something from me, Unless they wanted something from me, then I would hear from them. And you know what? I gave until I had nothing left to give. And I'm telling you, these motherfuckers did not leave me alone until I was used up and I had nothing left to give. Then they were like, oh, well, I can't get anything from you anymore, Patrick. So you're a bad man now. Because they knew they were a piece of shit. They knew that if they left at that moment when I was at my lowest, it would make them a piece of shit. So they had to make up shit to walk away. Yeah, when you're sick, you would be so. Who stuck with me? My husband, my friend Dan, some people in the program. That's a sobering thought.
Constant explanation. That will drain you. What it does require is mutual respect. And when respect is absent, love becomes labor. And labor without reciprocity becomes exhausting.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is pure exhaustion, is what that is.
When people would call me, I'd be on the phone. How can I help you? How can I help you? I mean, I was a people pleaser, but at the same time, I was a decent human being. Like if somebody needed help, I would help them. I mean, I supported people who fucked me over. That was like the funny thing. I went out of my way to help people, only to have them throw me under the bus and stab me in the back. Weak men are dangerous, man. Bad women are dangerous. Like this is dangerous shit. Like I would build my life only to have it wrecked by somebody who didn't care. Like if every time I got successful, my dad would come along and fuck it up for me. You can't have people in your life like that. You really, really can't. And when Merrick and I got married, my family were like, oh, hell no. They tried to sabotage our own marriage. Merrick's family tried to do the same. Can you have this shit going on in your life? Ladies or men? No. I encouraged everyone in my life to get the help that they needed because I was getting the help that I needed. And if I was going to go towards this effort of getting sober and staying sober, I can't have people in my life who treat it casually. Because see, it's a life or death situation, not just for me, but for everybody involved. I take it very fucking seriously. Other people may not have to. Other people might be able to be a little bit more casual about drug use and drugs in their life. Not me. I had enough of that shit.
That is. When a man begins prioritizing peace, it doesn't make him softer. It just makes him sharper. His tone changes. His posture changes. His whole presence changes. He no longer tries to convince people to value him. He no longer tries to persuade people to understand him.
I tell people now, if I can't explain something in a sentence, I tend to not want to explain it at all. Because you realize that some people aren't looking for explanations. They're looking for weak spots and ammunition. And if you send them a long text, they're going to pick something out as a rebuttal. So you become a man of few words for self-preservation purposes. There are people I can talk to about anything. And I do, and people can talk to me about anything. But some people are just listening for a weak spot. They want to dominate you. They want to fuck you up somehow. Why? Because they're weak. They can't stand on their own, so they have to destroy other people. This lesson will plague you until you finally get it.
He no longer tries to explain basic decency. He finally recognizes that energy is currency, and he will not spend his vital energy, his vital currency, his limited currency on conversations that go absolutely nowhere. And
that's the word salad shit. Like, I don't do the word salad anymore. I don't know if I like to say what I mean and mean what I say. I tend to not want to dance around the issues anymore. It is about conserving energy. Like, some people are just fucking exhausting. They're just exhausting. You have to choose your words with care. Like with my in-laws, I had to choose my words with care because they would have flyouts over just random shit, like just emotional meltdowns over random shit. Be so mad and upset. I mean, I can't tell you how many times during dinners and trips and all of that, that we be having a lovely time and then just all of a sudden, just tantrums and freakouts and yelling and that's fucking exhausting. Nobody wants to be around that shit unless you think it's fun or that drama is fun. You get to a point in your life and you're like, I just want to have some fun. I just want to get along with everybody. And I do try to get along with everybody, but to the ego, conflict is necessary. There has to be conflict. I know Merrick's family told me family was everything until we stopped falling for the manipulation. Then family became not everything really quick. Family is everything as a way to manipulate people. And if you can't be manipulated anymore, you get kicked out of the family. You don't even get a gift basket.
By women, you hear this all the time, they label peaceful men as emotionally unavailable. They're not used to men who don't chase every emotional shift.
Mm.
And that don't panic when they go silent, right?
Mm.
They're not used to men who won't react to guilt trips or when they distance themselves or are passive aggressive or start crying, whenever the waterworks turn on.
Mm.
When emotional control no longer works, emotional accountability, it feels offensive.
Yeah. I mean, I see women crying in public around me, and they'll be crying, and then they'll look around and see if anybody's fallen for it. And when nobody's fallen for it, those tears dry up real quickly. You see it. You see it. Y'all know what I'm talking about. But see, it's a learned behavior. They learned that from somebody else, that all you have to do is cry and people will come to your aid. That's for babies. People who grow up, if those tears, man, and a weak man will fall for those tears. And a weak woman will use those tears. But see, there comes a point when something's going to go on in your life that's worth crying about. It's kind of like a crying wolf. If you're crying about it, if you're crying about the price of eggs, I just can't afford eggs. Could you give me $20 so I can buy some eggs? You might get that $20, but eventually people are going to wise up and realize she cries about everything. She cries if the weather's too hot. She cries about everything. And then when something comes along in your life that's worth crying about, nobody's going to believe those tears. They're not going to believe you. They won't. I mean, I was a weak man. I used to cry about a lot of stuff. I used to manipulate people. And I realized I was a weak man. And I'm like, oh shit. Because people don't know they're doing it until they wake up to it. They don't know anything about this because they see other people doing it. They see other people getting rewarded for emotional incontinence. So they do it. And when it doesn't work for them anymore, they try a different tactic. And eventually nothing works except detachment, self-sufficiency, standing on your own. I know women who used to be manipulative and they're not anymore. And they talk about it and we talk about it. We have fun with it. We laugh at our past mistakes and our past lies and our past behaviors. It's just funny to us anymore. And we don't make fun of people who are still stuck in that. We're just like, they'll get it eventually. They'll get it. That's the cool thing about being sober. For a sober person working a program, life unfolds very differently. First, we're not a victim of shit anymore. We get God in our lives. God directs us. We surrender to whatever is happening. But we also don't go down dark alleys anymore or get involved with people who are dangerous.
But what looks like distance is often just a man refusing to participate in dysfunction he once mistook for love.
Yeah.
He realizes the distinction.
Yeah.
Finally.
Yes. Yes.
For a long time, men believed walking away meant that they failed.
Yeah.
Now they understand walking away often means they finally succeeded. They finally succeeded because loving someone should not require losing yourself. And supporting someone should not require constantly repairing what they choose to break.
Mm. And I know he's talking about male female relationships. I'm going to talk about other relationships that you might have in your life. I was not allowed to be successful and be in contact with my family. My family did not tolerate my wins very well. They did not. I did a sold out nightclub show, and my mother sat there in the front row frowning and grimacing the whole time. She was so fucking mad that all these people showed up to see her son, who isn't that funny anyway. I've talked to my sister about this. I told her we didn't stand a fucking chance with this family. We didn't stand a chance with this family. Many families are like this. I would say the majority of families are like this today. Immature men and women jealous of their own children. It's more common than you think.
Men
They never got the opportunity to grow up, but you know what? You can. You do not have to pass this on to your children.
finally acknowledge that their sanity is not collateral and their presence and their commitment is not owed.
Mm.
And every generation of men reaches a breaking point, and this generation reached it through experience. They watched how constant conflict destroyed their focus. They saw how emotional chaos paralyzed their ambition. They witnessed how explaining themselves endlessly never led to being heard. They felt how apologizing for tone eventually turned into apologizing for just having basic needs.
Isn't it wild how it's all the same story? Like, where is this script coming from? It's a script. It's the ego script. But I remember talking to a therapist about this. I said, it's just a script, isn't it? It's a script. Where are they getting this script? That's how we were able to sort of decode it was ego, that the ego is running a script on you. And it's all the same thing. I would hear one thing out of one woman. I would hear another thing out of it. They didn't even know each other. My mother said the same things that Merrick's mother said to him. They didn't even know each other. They were in completely different social classes. It's a script. And you know, Merrick and I should never have gotten together. Usually people who come from families like ours, they don't get together. The family sabotage it or break them up or whatever. But, you know, Merrick and I are both gay. We're both sober, and we laugh about it all the time. You know, like, you were never supposed to be gay. That was your saving grace. You were never supposed to be gay and sober. They couldn't have predicted that shit. My family couldn't have predicted that I got sober. That's why they tried to sabotage my recovery, because when you're sober, you don't do this shit anymore. You don't fall for the manipulations anymore. So that's why families try to sabotage recovery, because if we could just get them back under our control, everything would be fine. Because when you get sober, when you wake up and you change, you start reflecting it all back to people, and people who don't want to deal with their own shit, they're going to put it back on you each and every time. So you got to be strong to not accept those projections. Sometimes a family member will try to convince me that I'm a bad person because I didn't do this or this that I didn't know to do or whatever. And I'm like, honey, not my monkeys, not my circus. I don't have anything to do. I can't control your feelings. I am not responsible for the way you feel. I'm not responsible for the way other people feel. Hey, you can't really affect me emotionally anymore. And I can't affect you. How? I don't even talk to you. I don't even know you. How could I not do something and you have a complete come apart? I don't get it. What are you doing? What are you watching? You're just sitting at home by yourself, just getting upset at the shadows on the wall? Yes.
They learned that emotional labor without balance becomes emotional captivity. So men adjusted. They stopped arguing. They stopped over-explaining. They stopped defending their boundaries as if boundaries were offensive in the first place. They stopped being afraid of upset reactions.
Yeah, when you set a boundary, people will get upset. We're not going to watch this whole video, but if women want to know where good men have gone, this is where they went. They got tired of being manipulated. They got tired of being gaslit. They got tired of being labeled cruel and mean because they just don't want to put up with bullshit anymore. That's where all the good men have gone. So whether you're gay, straight, bi, Chinese, Jewish, or whatever, if you're a woman and you want a good man in your life, you're gonna have to work on yourself, honey. You're gonna have to work on yourself. If you are a man and you want to marry a good woman, you are going to have to work on yourself. I'm sorry. And even in a marriage, you are going to have to work on yourself. You are. Otherwise, it's going to be difficult and painful and a shit show. And them's the facts. Some people have said to me, Patrick, I want what you and Merrick have. I want a relationship that you and Merrick have. Well, you're going to have to be honest with each other. You're going to have to realize you got to do shadow work. You got to work on your ego issues. You're going to have to know what the pain body is and all of that. About 2 weeks ago, a woman said, I am so sick of men. I want to find a good man. And I said, well, here, read this book, A New Earth. I ain't reading no fucking book. I just want him. And I'm thinking, okay, honey, you're never going to find him. Just never going to find him because you're unwilling to do the work yourself. So if you're lazy and you think that a good man is just going to fall in your lap, he's not. He's going to take one look at you and say, I want a wife who can bear me children. I don't want to marry a child. I don't want to constantly babysit and emotionally micromanage somebody. And I know that might sound harsh. And some of us had to find out the hard way. But in my case, with my husband, we both came from extremely fucked up families. And we decided that we don't want to be a fucked up family. So what do we have to do to not be as fucked up as the families that we came from? It was a conscious decision. Was it easy? No. Has it been a walk in the park? No. But when I go to bed with my husband every night, we're all right. And I know that he's going to continue to grow and I'm going to continue to grow. And my husband has changed and I have changed. And every time he has changed, there has been grief. There has been grief. The last time he shifted, when he grew up, I realized that my husband died. That version of him was never going to come around again. And I felt grief. I still feel a little grief about that. But he changed. He grew up. When I change and I grew up, my husband starts to go, ooh, who's this new version of my husband I'm getting? Once the grief is gone, you're like, wow, I love this new person. It's like getting married to somebody new every 3 months. But so few people they're like, oh, I miss the old, like sick people want to stay sick with you. But see, I'm willing to work on myself. And I know my husband is willing to work on myself. A lot of our conversations about how we're working on ourselves. And yeah, I had to do a lot of heavy lifting for my husband because I think his family fucked him up more than me. But I was willing to do that. Several people said it's going to taint the relationship and you shouldn't be this and that. But man, I'm going to do what I have to. I'm going to do what I have to. And in a lot of ways, I had to hit the books and grow up myself and be the example of how a healthy person interacts in life. I had to grow up. and show him what being a man was all about. I didn't necessarily want to do that, but at some point, if you want something bad enough, you will be willing to go to any lengths to get it. I wanted to stay married to my husband. And so I was willing. So many people just give up. They just give up. They just give up. Find somebody new. Move on to the next fucked up situation. Break up. Get together. Break up. Get pregnant. Get divorced. Blah, blah, blah. And what would happen if you just settled into where you were and said, I need to fix this in myself? I've had many young men come to me and say, where's my wife? Where's my girlfriend? And I said, why don't you wait until you're not homeless? Why don't you wait until you're sober? Why don't you wait until you actually have something to offer to another woman or a man if you're into that sort of thing? They can't wait. They want it. They want their money and they want it now. But if you know you're fucked up and you go out there and you try to find somebody, there was one person I really tried to help lately. And he told me this woman was interested in him. I said, you need to stay away from her because you're a fucking mess. A good woman wouldn't be interested in you right now. He got mad at me. Got mad at me. It's a mess. It is. I want you to know I love you all so very much. Please go check out the rest of that guy's video. This is a dark topic, but it's also something that needs to be said. Hey, I'm your gay best friend, Shaman. A shaman is going to tell you things that other people may not. It's not so hopeless. I mean, I'm married. I found the man of my dreams, even though at times I thought he was the man of my nightmares. But you know what? It's worth the effort. And along the way, I got to work on myself along the way. And that's really the only thing that you can do is work on yourself. Hey, instead of trying to manipulate people or control people or lie to people or guilt people or shame people, why don't you just work on yourself? So that if you work on yourself, you will never have to lie, cheat, manipulate, or do any of that at all. It's much easier to just change than it is to pretend to change. And that's my advice as your gay shaman best friend. Hey, we're going to play a track from our new album, You Want to Be Enlightened. It's called Fate. That song is about going through stuff and learning to love the things that you hate. I love you so much. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
I used to spit you out like fire, bitter taste I could not hide. Every time you showed your face, I only felt the burn inside. But shadows change when light gets closer. What I cursed I now hold tight. The thorn I hated in my garden became the rose that saved my life. I learned to love the thing I fear, turn the ache into a song I hear. The stone that cut me, I made it shine. What once was poison now tastes like wine. Love grew in the place of rage. I'm dancing inside the cage. I learned to love the thing I hate, and now it feels like fate. I hate it, now it feels like fate. Every wound is just a teacher, every scar a secret key. You were the mirror became a holy gate. Open wide, I walk through late. Now the thorn I used to break is the flower I embrace.